and eager to live a better life. So, without further ado, shall we start, Amrish?
Yes, please. Yes, we can. Yes,
And
yes.
should we? Yes, sir. Okay. So, I'm gonna again read out our script, which says, "Welcome to the Wednesday meeting of the Better Living Group. My name is Akash, and I'm eager to live a better life." Currently, we are reading from the book by James Clear. Book name is Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. The text to read will be shared during the meeting. We still encourage you to have a hard copy of this book. Group Preamble. The primary purpose of a Better Living Group is to carry its message to a person who is eager to live a better life. We alter our life with balanced living. There are no dues or fees for the membership. Guiding principles, I'm skipping right now. I'm gonna start and we're gonna focus on completing two chapters when I'm reading with you. When we have a newcomer, we'll take it slow, one chapter because we have already read it. So it's kind of a revision. And I'm going to focus on quantity now. Quality, we have already done it. And I'm going to start the reading. So it's going to be marathon, reading marathon. Yeah. Okay. Atomic habits. I'm going to straight away come to introduction to the fundamentals. To the fundamentals. Yeah. One, two, three, four fundamentals. So, the fundamentals, why tiny changes make a big difference. So, whenever you want to pitch in, just let me know. I'm going to continue the reading from the fundamentals. The surprising power of the atomic habits. The fate of the British Olympic cycling changed on 2003, the organization which was governing for professional cycling in Great Britain had recently hired David Brailsford as its new performance director. At the time, professional cyclists in the Great Britain had endured nearly 100 years of mediocrity. Since 1908, British riders had won just a single gold medal at the Olympic Games, and they had fared even worse in the cycling biggest race, the Tour de France. In, in year 1110, no British cyclist has ever won the event. In fact, the performance of British riders has been so underwhelming that one of the top bike manufacturers in Europe refused to sell bikes to them because they were afraid that it would hurt the sales of other professionals when other professionals saw the Brits using their gears. Brailsford had been hired to put British cycling on a new trajectory. What made him different from previous coaches was his relentless commitment to the strategy that referred to as the aggregation of the marginal gains. What was the philosophy of searching for a tiny margin gains, which was the philosophy of searching for the tiny marginal improvements in every whole that when you put them all making small just they rubbed alcohol on the tires for a better grip. They asked riders to wear electrically heated overshorts to maintain ideal muscle temperature while riding biofeedback sensors to monitor how each athlete responded to a particular workout. This team tested various fabrics in a wind tunnel and had their outdoor riders switch to indoor racing suits, which proved to be a lighter and more aerodynamic. We welcome our new guests and we'll say that I'll read out the guiding principles while we are reading. We mute our microphones when we are not speaking, and this is a 45-minute speaking. We read for about two chapters or one chapter in 30 minutes, followed by the sharing. And no cross sharing between no direct advice. So I'm going to continue the reading, and we are on the first chapter. We have already read in this session. This is a revision session. We are starting from the fundamentals. So I welcome our new guests, and I'm going to continue the reading, and we'll say hellos and pleasantries after the session. Yeah. So we focus on completely on the productivity in 45 minutes. So I'm going to continue reading. As these are hundreds and other small improvements accumulated, the results came faster than anyone could have imagined. Just 5 years after the Brailsford took over, the British cycling team dominated the road and track cycling events in 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, where they won an astounding 60% of the gold medals available. 4 years later, when the Olympics came to London, the Brits raised the bar as they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. The same year, Bradley Wiggins became the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France. The next year, his teammate Chris Froome won the race, and he would go on to win again in 15, 16, and 2017, giving British team 5 Tour de France victories in 6 years. During the 10-year span of 2007-17, British cyclists won 78 World Championships and 66 Olympics or Paralympics gold medals and captured 5 Tour de France victories in what is widely regarded as the most successful run in the cycling histories. How does this happen? How does this team of previously ordinary athletes transform into the world champions with tiny changes that at first glance would seem to make a modest difference at best? Why do small improvements accumulate in such remarkable results? And how can you replicate this approach in your life? Why small habits make a big difference? It is easy to overestimate the importance of the one defining moment and underestimate the value of making small improvement in a daily basis. Too often we convince ourselves that massive success requires massive actions. Whether it is losing weight, building a business, writing a book, winning championship, or achieving any other goal, we put pressure on ourselves to make some earth-shattering improvements that everyone will talk about. Meanwhile, improving by 1%, it isn't particularly notable. Sometimes it is even noticeable. However, we can be far more meaningful, especially for the long run. The difference a tiny improvement can make over the time is astounding. Here's how the math works out. When you get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37% times better at the time you are done. Conversely, when you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you will decline nearly down to zero, which start as a small win or a minor setback accumulates into something much more. 1% better every day means 1% worse equivalents to zero. 1% better equivalents to 37. That's the formula. And that's the diagram how we can improve. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The same way that money multiplies through compound interest, the effect of your habits multiply as you repeat them. They seem to make a little difference on any given day, and yet the impact they deliver over the months and years can be enormous. It is only when looking back to 5 or perhaps 10 years later that the value of good habits and the cost of bad ones becomes strikingly apparent. This can be a difficult concept to appreciate in daily life. We often dismiss small changes because they don't seem to matter very much in this moment. When you save a little money now, you are still not a millionaire. When you go to the gym 3 days in a row, you're still out of shape. When you study Mandarin for an hour tonight, you still haven't learned the language. We make a few changes, however, the results never seems to come quickly, and so we slide back to our previous routines. Unfortunately, the slow pace of transformation also make it easy to let a bad habit slide. When you eat an unhealthy meal today, the scale does not move much. When you work late tonight and ignore your family, they will forgive you. When you procrastinate, put your project off until tomorrow, there will usually be time to finish later. A single decision is easy to dismiss. However, when we repeat 1% errors day after day by replicating poor decisions, duplicating tiny mistakes, and rationalizing little excuses, our small choices compound into toxic results. It's the accumulation of many steps, a 1% decline here and there that eventually leads to a challenge. The impact created by change in your habit is similar to the effect of shifting the route of an airplane by just a few degrees. Imagine you are flying from Los Angeles to New York City. When a, when a pilot leaving from Lax or Los Angeles adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south, you will land up in Washington instead of New York. Such a small change is barely noticeable at the takeoff. The nose of the airplanes moves just a few feet. However, when a ride across the entire United States, you end up hundreds of miles apart. Similarly, a slight change in your daily habits can guide a life to a very different destination. Making a choice that is 1% better or 1% worse seems insignificant in the moment. However, over the span of moments that make up lifetime, these choices determine the difference between who you are and who you could be. Success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformation. That said, it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you are right now. What matters is whether your habits are putting you on the path towards success. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than your current results. When you are a millionaire, you spend more than you earn each month, then you are on a bad trajectory. When your spending habits don't change, it's going to end well. Conversely, when you're broke and you save a little every month, then you are on the path to financial freedom, even when you are moving slower than you would like. Your outcomes are lagging measures of your habits. Your net worth is the lagging measure of your financial habit. Your weight is the lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is the lagging measure of your learning habits. Your clutter is a lagging measure of your cleaning habits. You get what you repeat. Would somebody like to take it ahead from this point?
Yes, I will start. If you want to predict where you'll end up in life, all you have to do is follow the curve of tiny gains or tiny losses and see how your daily choices will compound 10 or 20 years down the line. Are you spending less than you earn each month? Are you making it, are you making it into the gym each week? Are you reading books and learning something new each day? Tiny battles like these are the ones that will define your future self. Time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. Habits are a double edged sword. Bad habits can cut you down just as easily as good habits can build you up, which is why understanding the details is crucial. You need to know how habits work and how to design them to your liking so you can avoid the dangerous half of the plate. Your habits can compound for you or against you. Positive compounding for a productivity compounds. Accomplishing one extra task is a small feat on any given day, but it counts for a lot over an entire career. The effect of automating an old task or mastering a new skill can be even greater. The more tasks you can handle without thinking, the more your brain is free to focus on other areas. Knowledge compounds. Learning one idea won't make you a genius, but commitment to lifelong learning can be transformative. Furthermore, each book you read not only teaches you something new, but also opens up different avenues of thinking about old ideas. As Warren Buffett said, that's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest. Relationship compounds. People reflect your behavior back to you. The more you help others, the more others want to help you. Being a little bit nicer in each interaction can result in a network of broad and strong connection over time. Negative compounding. Stress compounds. The frustration of a traffic jam, the weight of parenting responsibilities, the worry of making ends meet, the strain of slightly high blood pressure by themselves, these common causes of stress are manageable. But when they persist for years, little stresses compound into serious health issues. Negative thoughts compound. The more you think of yourself as worthless, stupid, or ugly, the more you condition yourself to interpret life that way. You get trapped in a thought loop. The same is true for how you think about others. Once you fall into habits of seeing people as angry, unjust, or selfish, you see those kind of people everywhere. Outrage compounds. Riots, protests, and mass movements are rarely the result of a single event. Instead of a, Instead, a long series of microaggressions and daily aggressions slowly multiply until one event tips the scale and spreads like wildfire. What progress is really like. Imagine that you have an ice cube sitting on a table in front of you. The room is cold and you can see your breath. It is currently 25 degrees. Ever so slowly, the room begins to heat up. 26 degrees, 27, 28. The ice cube is still sitting on the table in front of you. 29 degrees, 30, 31. Still nothing has happened. Then 32 degrees, the ice begins to melt. A 1 degree shift, seemingly no different from a temperature increase from it, has unlocked a huge change. Breakthrough movements are often the result of many previous actions which build up the potential required to unleash a major change. This pattern shows up everywhere. Cancer spends 80% of its life undetectable, then takes over the body in months. Bamboo can barely be seen for the first 5 years as it builds extensive root system underground before exploding 90 feet into the air within 6 weeks. Similarly, habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance in the early and middle stages of any quest. There is often a valley of disappointment. You expect to make a progress in a linear fashion, and it is frustrating how ineffective changes can seem during the first day, weeks, and even months. It doesn't feel like you are going anywhere. It is a hallmark of any compounding process. The most powerful outcomes are delayed. This is one of the core reasons why it is so hard to build habits that last. People make few small changes, fail to see a tangible result, and decide to stop. You think, I have been running every day for a month, so why can't I see any change in my body? Once this kind of thinking takes over, it's easy to let good habits fall by the wayside. But in order to make a meaningful difference, habits need to persist long enough to break through this plateau, what I call the plateau of latent potential. If you find yourself struggling to build a good habit or break a bad one, it is not because you have lost your ability to improve. It is often because you have not yet crossed the plateau of latent potential. Complaining about not achieving success despite working hard is like complaining about an ice cube not melting when you heated it from 25 to 31 degrees. Your work was not wasted. It is just being stored. All the action happens at 32 degrees. When you finally break through the latent plateau of latent potential, people will call it an overnight success. The outside world only sees the most dramatic part rather than all that preceded it. But you know that it is the work you did long ago when it seemed that you were not making any progress that makes the jump today possible. It is the human equivalent of geological pressure. Two tectonic plates can grind against one another for millions of years, the tension slowly building all the while. Then one day they rub each other once again in the same fashion they have for ages. But this time, the tension is too great. An earthquake erupts. Change can take years before it happens all at once. Mastery requires patience. The San Antonio Spurs, one of the most successful teams in our NBA history, have a quote from social reformer Jacob Rees hanging in their locker room. When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stone cutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at 101st blow it will split in two. And I know it was not that last blow that did it, but all that had gone before. The plateau of latent potential. We often expect progress to be linear. At the very least, we hope it will come quickly. In reality, the results of our efforts are often delayed. It is not until months or years later that we realize the true value of the previous work we have done. This can result in a valley of disappointment. where people feel discouraged after putting in weeks or months of hard work without experiencing any results. However, this work was not wasted. It was simply being stored. It is not until much later that the full value of the previous efforts is revealed. All big things come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit is a single tiny decision. But as that decision is repeated, a habit sprouts and grows stronger. Roots entrench themselves and branches grow. The task of breaking a bad habit is like uprooting a powerful oak within us. And the task of building a good habit is like cultivating a delicate flower one day at a time. But what determines whether we stick to habit long enough to survive the plenty of latent potential and break through to the other side? What is that causes some people to slide into unwanted habits and enables others to enjoy the compounding effects of good one? Forget about
Yeah,
goals. It's
thanks, Amrish.
okay. Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, thank you very much. This 2 pages I'm gonna skip and completely come down to the system of atomic habits. This is the last paragraph. So this is a revision session. So what we'll do is we'll strategically read the chapters as per the timeline, as we have already read it. So anybody who's interested can read it in his or her own time. I'm going to continue the reading from A System of Atomic Habits, conclude with the chapter summary, and then we'll have our first chapter done in this session today. All right, System of Atomic Habits. When we are having trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't you. The challenge is your system. Bad habits repeat themselves again and again, not because you don't want to change. However, because you have the wrong system for change, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Very powerful. Focusing on the overall systems rather than the single goal is one of the core themes of this book. It is also one of the deeper meanings behind the word atomic. By now, you have probably realized that an atomic habit refers to a tiny change, a marginal gain, a 1% improvement. However, atomic habits are not just any old habits. However small, they are little habits that are part of a larger system. Just as atoms are the building blocks of the molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of the remarkable results. Habits are like the atoms of our lives. Each one is fundamental, a unit that contributes to your overall improvement. At first, these tiny routines seemed insignificant. However, soon they build each other and fuel bigger wins that multiply to a degree that far outweighs the cost of their initial investment. They are both small and mighty. This is the meaning of the phrase atomic habits, a regular practice or a routine that is not only small and easy to do, however, also the source of incredible power and a component of the system of compound growth. Chapter summary. Habits are the compound interest of the self improvement. Getting 1% better every day counts for a lot in the long run. Habits are a double edged sword. They can work for you or against you, which is why the understanding of details is essential. Small changes often appears to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold. The most powerful outcomes of any compounding process are delayed. You need to be patient. An atomic habit is a little habit that is a part of a larger system. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of the remarkable results. When you want a better results, then forget about setting goals. Focus on your systems instead. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That concludes the chapter 1 of the fundamentals why tiny changes make big difference. Next time we'll continue how our habit shapes our identity. It's so in this session we read somewhere around 20 pages in which we skipped 5, so somewhere around 15 on an average per session. That will make one chapter. So yeah, I'm gonna conclude the reading part and I'm gonna start open the meeting for the sharing.
Thanks, Akash. So I'll start. It is always wonderful to read about habits, habits that are a core to any personality or any human being. Because whatever you do, do it regularly, you become out of it. As author beautifully explains, it's not about the 101st blow that cracked the that rock. It was all that gone before. The total 100 blows. They did their work. They did their work, silent work, and made the way for the 101st to split the rock in two. And also, small changes create can create a wonderful personality, and people can call overnight success. As I would like to give this example one more time. Uh, it was Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, sorry. There was an interview, and he gave one quote that it took me 17 years of hard work to be called as overnight success. So it was not that okay, he played in one game and he scored 17 goals. He was called, okay, he's the superstar of the football arena. It took him 17 years, starting from the practices, then to the games, and to the league games, the ca- games all the way in the tournament. Then he could come up with the way how he did it in his the where he was called the superstar. So we need to work on our habits. We need to create one at a time, and sometimes it happens. I have tried it a long time that uh, when I started meditating, it was I didn't experience any change right away. But when I did it continuously did it for years, and I could sense, okay, there were some changes. And I shared it with my I had a colleague in my office, and we did for around 3 months. After in our working hours, we just took 30 minutes of our time, and we went up to the yoga room, the free room, and we did our yoga exercises and some meditation on the daily basis. He was experiencing it for the first time, and after around 3 months, I asked him, okay, do you see any changes in you? And he was able to see the vast difference between his personality, what he was before 3 months and after he was. So he was able to comprehend much better in a much better manner, and he was slowly processing it. For it was not like he was taking any fast decisions, or you can say the instant decision. Sometimes it happens you take some decision without even thinking the pros and cons. So he was able to comprehend things in a better way. He was in a much better mode, you can say, in the mind. So yeah, so reading this book again can help us to choose more knowledge that can help me and our group to live better and be better. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thanks, Amrish. That was really good. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Right. I think it's my cue. No, it's a supreme guidance, supreme intelligence that is flowing today that I'm experiencing. Um, a flow in me. Uh, I mean, the moment I express what I'm feeling right now in the words, I I reduce its biasness. Yeah, it can only be felt. I'm so grateful. The level of thankfulness I carry in me is astounding. Yeah, it's astounding. Yeah, the kind of when I look back, the kind of improvements that we have made in our script, in our functioning, how fast we have evolved. Yeah, our processes are so strong of Better Living Group. Now we can host up to 100 people, 200 people. We have like such a because when the meeting grows, there are a lot of discipline issues, there are a lot of challenges, and we have developed a system which is so rock solid. At least I know that this is for me, it is a wonderful experience. Yeah, people come and they leave, they go, they say if, they put their if and buts. Yeah, I don't even read these words. Yeah, when the reading session I replace if with when, but with however. I've removed all if and buts from my life. Yeah, it's a matter of being humble and willing and having enough willingness to go through it. And this goes for you also, this goes for everyone. It took Messi for 17 years to call him an overnight success. I so felt goosebumps when I just listened from. So grateful that you said this, because it's gonna happen same with you and same with anybody who comes and join this meeting. Yeah, it might take 1 year or 2 year. The moment you find it, you will be all amazed. Yeah, and I've found it. I've done life. Yeah, the people who said I want to be successful, I say I am successful because I know my definition of being successful. And this book is really good. It has a lot of wisdom that I already knew. However, I have the mentality that I forget all the good as inside me. Yeah, I'm like a person who needs to be reminded. Yeah, and these meetings are a good way, a good place for me to remind all the good, because you know about these books, and I add 10 more books that has been written by the Western bird. The values that has been passed over to me from my culture, from my family, from my religion has 100x knowledge. These are just tools and hacks. And I'm not the person of tool and hacks. I really like to work from the roots. I like to rise from the bottom up, not to fall from top down. And this life, in this life, I choose not to give in to the doubts, misery, or self-deprecation. Today I'm selling myself very high, and I'm really happy that I am here and I'm reading this chapter again. We are doing a marathon, and I know that it's a bait and race. I'm gonna pass the bait to whoever, whomsoever is willing to run to the race of this towards the awesome destination. Yeah, and I always say the ultimate destination of my life is a death. Yeah, and before death, I am today not living to die. I'm dying to live. Every day is so beautiful. I've just been traveling, and again, it's been so beautiful. And I don't know. I'm a person who's made to travel, and over the years, over the past few months, I've traveled so much around the world, and these meetings persisted. Yeah, this is like part of our DNA. I think about this, think about what we do all the time. No matter how small the group is, I know this is gonna scale very big in coming time. However, I really don't want, I don't expect. Yeah, I was actually praying from God that at least send one girl to this meeting. Because in a team dynamics, we need to have a proper ratio, otherwise it's gonna be
Gender ratio.
so I'm sorry if in case I've been greedy, and God listens, and
It,
let's
it's
see.
being it's
And
getting recorded. Maybe someone watches it and joins you as a group
maybe,
next
maybe,
Friday.
yeah, that's a very good initiative that we started doing, is we started recording it. Maybe like when I get old, maybe 70 years, I'll listen to these recordings because they are not going anywhere. Yeah, my work which I'm doing right now, right now together, is so good, and it's bringing so much values, at least with for you and me. We can use it. However, we can also point it as a common point of reference that, like, whenever I find a person who's like me, I'll just straight away give him this link. Check this out. This is what I've been doing. I invite you to come and join the awesomeness. And very few people are left, which I see or I know that who carry that kind of a conviction that they are eager to live a better life. I'm going to conclude the session. Thank you very much for coming. um right, and I'm making the conclusion. In the conclusion, say the next meeting of this group is on the Friday, 0800 hours. We are going to do a reading. You can access the recording on YouTube later. Let's conclude with the favorite prayer. And today, let's do my favorite prayer. Yeah, I make a lot of prayers for myself. Yeah, so let's pray. Let's pray. And this is my favorite prayer. I love this prayer. And this prayer goes like, the luxury of the will. When I know what God's will is for me, what God wants for me, I am the richest person in the world, and that is for me the abundance. So it goes like this. You can read after me, you can read with me, you can access the link, whatever you want. It goes like this. Thank you, Father. Thank you,
Thank you, God.
Father. Today,
Today,
allow me the luxury of your will,
allow me the luxury of your will.
because I'm going to shoot,
Because I am going to shoot,
and I'm going to shoot to kill.
and I am going to shoot to kill.
Father, today allow me the luxury of your will,
Father, today allow me the luxury of your will.
because when I rise, word comes to still.
So when I rise, world comes to still.
Father, allow me the luxury of your will.
Allow me the luxury of your will.
I know you for real, and today I carry your look and feel.
I know you for real, and today I carry your look and feel.
Father, allow me the luxury of your will.
Father, allow me the luxury of your will.
I am a man of commitment.
I am man of commitment.
I'm a man who rocked their word.
I am man who rocked the world.
Father,
Father,
I have my party shoes on today. Thank you. And I mean to that. Thank you. Yeah, that concludes our session.